friends, it's Jean from the Inky Owl Studio. I'm happy to have you come along with me today. I'm excited about a new project that I'm doing, and it's going to be a fabric and lace journal. So in other words, the cover, the pages, the pockets are going to be some kind of a textile. There will be plenty of writing spaces because we're going to fill all those pockets and stuff with paper, but for the foundation of it, it will be either fabric or lace. What I intend to do in this series is to kind of show you my process, step by step, how I've treated putting the pages together, the challenges I came across, how I solved them, and just give you ideas of things to think about if you're interested also in making a fabric journal. So first, I would like to show and share with you some of the fabric and textiles that I'll be using. I'm just going to give a little quick tour of the things that I have chosen for that. So I have linens that in my stash, and this is, I love this one. It's very pretty with that butterfly. So this is one, and then I have actually linen fabric, which is one of my favorite things to work with. So there's this beautiful trim, but then there's all this fabric to use. Another little piece. So these are kind of the pieces I've chosen in the um, linen area. And some of these linens, then I will take the lace off and then use that separately from the rest of it. Usually on these really big pieces, that's what I end up doing. And then I'm going to have laces in it. So I have a lot of vintage lace in my stash, and these are some of those pieces. And some of them I might coffee or tea stain some of them, I'm not sure. Beautiful doily with all this beautiful, gorgeous lace. And this is super vintage here. I love it because it's so worn, and it's seen its last days for sure, but it's perfect for what I want. Here's another one, and I'll probably use these individual little um, places there. And this would be a really cute pocket to like put it over a page and make a pocket out of it. Some more nice pockets. And this one is really fun. I don't know what I'm going to do with this one, but just love the way it just seems to fold and the way it acts there. And then some more lace, and then a lot of little tiny bits and pieces of lace that I have used from other larger pieces perhaps. And it's really cool heart. I want to do something fun with that. And here are some of the fabrics I've chosen. I've got a couple of Tim Holtz fabrics that I think will go well with what I have planned. And this is a piece of linen. I have no idea where I got it. Oh, it could be drapery material, but it's beautiful. I love these little embroidery roses on there. Here's some more upholstery type material. I wish I had a larger piece of this. I would make it the cover, but it'll be a beautiful page. Here is a pillowcase that's been washed hundreds of times, but I love how it has faded a little bit on it, and this looks a little bit aged. Some ticking. I like this piece. I thought this was really pretty to put in there. It's neutral, but yet it has a lovely design. And some more fabric that I don't know where I got that either. And this is an old napkin, a vintage napkin. It's yellowed all the way around the edge of it, but I like this print too. It looked kind of old to me as well. So that is just a little tiny peek at some of the things that I'm going to be using. So today I thought we would just do a couple of pages, and I'll just show you my process and how I'm going about to construct this. So I'm going to begin with this particular fabric, and this is the pillowcase. It's very threadbare, and it is very, it's not very stable. It's floppy. So I want to make sure that I put a firmer fabric on the other side of it so that it won't fold over too much in the fabric journal. Now I am cutting my pieces, I'm cutting them no shorter than 8 inches because that's about the height, the approximate height of the journal I want to make is about 8 inches. So I'm not going to cut them any shorter this way. However, the width of it is where you need to add more fabric, because fabric will get eaten up in the spine very quickly. So as we put more fabric pieces and ephemera and things in it, then this will get built up, and you're going to lose it in the spine. And so this could very well, even though I'm starting out with over 6 inches, it could very well end up being just a little over 5 or 5.5. So this is where you'll want to add a little bit more fabric is in the width, and I'm adding like an inch more than what I think I'm going to want in the end. Now I'm beginning with with the pages, simply because I don't know what size of cover I'm going to be wanting to make, and that is something that I will do when I get everything all done up. And when I get pages done, oops, sorry, not only the pages, fabric pages finished, but all the ephemera that I want inside of it figured out. So I'll just go with my 6 inches here, and there's my page this way. And now, you know what, I really want these two blue things. Now this is, now not all pages are going to be the exact same size, because that does add interest. Now this scrap piece here is only 7 inches tall. So this has to be 7 inches because they're going back to back. But other pages, I'll probably cut them 8 inches tall. So just to have a little variety, there will be a little bit difference in the height of these. And now I want this piece, of course, I want these blue lines in here, right? So I'm going to just tear this out, and I like tearing because I enjoy the edges that are kind of shabby there. So I will be tearing most that I can tear anyways. So there we go. All right. So here then is the one side, and this here is going to be the back side of it. So I'm going to sew the wrong sides together. I am not going to cover up these seams. A traditional way of sewing a pocket would be right sides together, and if you're a sewer, you'll understand this. You would sew it this way, and then you would turn it inside out, and then you would have all the raw edges inside of a seam, that you can't see. But I'm not going to do that because I do like that shabbiness, and also, you're going to want your pocket to be able to get in and out. So here we go. I'm going to just stitch around. Just going to stitch around the 3 outsides here. All right, I have sewn around the 3 edges. Then what I did after I sewed those edges, I folded it in half and I gave it a light press right in the middle. And I followed that press line all the way down with a straight stitch all the way. This will help me when I go to sew my signatures in to know where the middle's at. And as I construct other pages together, it'll just help me to align everything up. So that's what I've done there. Now I want to add some lace pockets, and I want to add this one here because I feel like you can see through this nicely, and you can make out the rest of that design. And so yeah, I'm just going to sew this in. What I'll do is I'll cut this in half so that I can use the other half for another pocket. And then I'm going to pin this down. Now I'm going to use pins instead of clips because I want it to hold very nicely when I sew on it. I'm going to, because this is a shorter page, or it doesn't matter, it didn't have to be a shorter page, but I am going to let some of that lace hang down there. Okay. And what I'm going to do, another tip that I did too is that at these pocket openings up here, I went back and forth a few times to really secure that opening there. And I did that the same over there. And now what I'll be doing is I'll be following the line again that I used to sew in this lace pocket here. And on this side, I want to put in this pocket, and just like this. So I will do the same to this. Now I don't, have to follow that line exactly, because actually a little few extra lines can add to the charm of it. So I could have like pinned it on this side here, like so, and then I could see that line to follow if that was important to me. I could do it that way. Otherwise, you can just pin it this way and sew around. So I'm going to go and get that stitched down. So here are my pockets. I have sewn each of the pockets down. Now, another tip I want to say, that sometimes the edge of the lace looks a little flimsy. You can just press it under a little bit and then sew over it, just to kind of make that a little bit firmer. And here is the other part for the other pocket over here. So I'm going to be leaving some blank spaces, because I don't know what I may want to do in the future to those spaces. And this is where we can talk about adding different kind of pockets. So let's say that you know for sure that before you sew these two pieces together, you know that you want a pocket like right here in the middle. So you would put these pockets that are in the middle on first before you sew together these two pieces. And that way you can stitch that on there and, have it stitched on. But let's say though you didn't think of that, and it's hard to think of everything when you're putting it together, because all that analyzing sometimes can make me just not do anything. And so I put on what occurs to me, and I do that. And then if I want to add something, it's okay, because you can glue it. If you want to, you can sew around it just by itself, and then glue it on, and it'll look like it's stitched on. So you can always add to this middle part, even if you have sewn together the two pages. Alrighty, there is one pocket though, well, we'll get to that one. There is another pocket where you really, a type of pocket that you're going to really need to know before, but we will do that later. Now I want to talk about pieces that are too large for what you want. So in this case, as you can see, this piece is like it's like 10 by 8, and so it's too large, because I want my page to have this here on the side. This is how I want it to be in my journal, but it's way too wide. If it were just 6 inches so wide, I'd be all set, but it's not. So this is what I'm going to do. You're going to, of course, you're going to be taking off the top here. And I would take the top off first, because then, I can use all of this. So when I cut this, I'm going to cut it actually a little bit more than 8 inches, because what I intend to do then is fold it under and just kind of make a hem at the top. It kind of depends on your fabric, whether you want to or not, but you may want to do this to all of your fabric pieces. Probably most of your cottons, you will probably end up doing that. Anyway, so I'm just going to go a little bit further, and I'm adding, about 3/8 of an inch here from the bottom, and I'm putting light little pencil marks. Now, I don't want to, because I'm using a ruler, you may think we have to be exact, and no, we just need to be in the ballpark is what we need to be. We're just ballparking it a little bit when we measure. And they do sell markers that fade and wash out, but we're just going to do a light pencil mark, and then we're just going to cut a little bit on the other side of that pencil mark. And that way we won't see the pencil mark. So I like to do that top first because now I have a nice little lacy border to put somewhere else. All right, so now that we've got the page just a little bit more than we want, what I will do then is turn down, I will press this down just a little bit with an iron, and I'm going to put just an itty bitty hem in it. All right, we don't have to double fold it. That won't be necessary. We're just going to put it down once just to kind of give it a little bit more strength there at the opening. All right, I've done that stitching, although I don't think I would have had to because I tried to fray it and it would hardly fray, so probably didn't really have to do it, but I did it anyways. And now we're going to shorten this up because, like I said, it's way too wide. So I'm going to add, again, like I did with the height, I'm going to add like a 3/8 of an inch to my width that I want. And I put light pencil marks. You can also just put pins. You know, if you don't want to put any marks at all, you can put down a pin. And now we're just going to cut along that pathway with our pins. Right along there. There we go. Okay. Now what we're going to do here is we are going to put our right sides together, and in this case, I don't know what I want. This would be the wrong side, so we're going to put them together like this. I'm going to put these together. So the side that we want to show is now on the inside. Now we're just going to stitch down here that particular width here all the way down. So here's the cloth that I want to use, and I'm just going, oh, sorry about the more people. I am going to put this down and kind of like, where do I want these designs to be, because it's such an all over design. But once I find out where I want my design to be, I'm just simply going to snip it here. I'm going to snip it here, and then along the bottom. I'm just going to tear along those places to get the size that I want. Okay. Now this is all done. I've sewed it under. Now let's talk about a pocket that you really do kind of need to know. Well, you do need to know it before you sew everything together, and that is if you want to use some of these doilies. Like I love the oval ones and the square ones. Those are probably my favorite to work with, but you can also work with round doilies. And so the idea is that what you want to do is you want to put your doily in the middle, right, so that it appears on both sides of your page. And then you'll just sew your pocket in like so, all the way around like that. And then once you sew that in the middle, then you're going to have, you know, a doily pocket for that side. I decided to go back into my stash and get the traditional round doily because that's what, you know, is most common. And what I'm going to show you, I'm going to, of course, put it in the middle, right? And I'm going to, well, let's just find out where the middle is first. That might be helpful. I will put a pin right in this area so that I know where the middle is at. I need to be putting it on this side. What am I doing? We're going to put the doily right in the middle of that, just like so. And then I'm going to pin the doily down so that it will stay stable for me. Just here in different places. So my thought, and you know, this of course is not the only way to do this. I'm just giving you tips and tricks about how I'm doing it. So my thought on this was that it would be a really nice tuck spot to put a tag in like this. So therefore I am going to sew right along this edge to here and maybe about this far on the bottom. Okay, I'm just going to sew there, and I'm going to sew up along there to give room for my tuck spot. And I will do that on both sides of this doily. So let me go and get that done. Okay, let me show you. I stitched just part of the way around the circle on both sides. I wasn't concerned about getting them exactly even, because really that's the one reason I'm using thread that kind of blends in, sort of an ecru camel colored like thread, because you know you can't see that maybe this is not perfect. I don't know if it is or not. But my idea was you just want to be able to put in your memorabilia or your tag or whatever you got going into this little tuck spot here. So that's using the traditional circle. And of course, if you're going to use the oval, then you know you can determine that maybe I just want to go halfway up like this, and then I would have a pocket that would come in from, you know, up here, you know. So you just gotta like play around with it until you find one that you really like. And I think I ended up liking this. Now I used a thicker crochet doily on a thinner fabric. I think that way, I think it kind of balances out rather than using this on a real heavy fabric. You know, it kind of evens out the bulk a little bit, maybe. I don't know. Could be wrong on that. Now we're going to go ahead and we're just going to put our wrong sides together and our openings, match up our openings there. And we're going to go what we did before. We're just going to go around the bottom here and then fold it in half, give it a little press, and then come down that middle portion there. All right, now we have this page finished. Probably as far as I want to go today. I love all this. I don't want to cover that up, and this is just right amount of coverage for me. So that's 2 pages done. Another example here, I intentionally left lace larger than I needed, and I'm going to go and I'm going to glue this down just like I mentioned before. You can glue down stuff that you know you aren't able to sew because you don't want to sew your pocket together. And I would use Fabri-Tac for this. Now it's going to be tricky in using lace. You're going to see it bleed through unless you glue on sort of a thick area of your lace. And this is the part that I turned under and sewed. And so we'll just put that down there, and I'm going to put just a little bit down here just to make that pocket a little bit more secured. And so now we'll have a little tuck spot to put a little something in like that. So yep, you can glue later on, but like I say, try to find where the weaving of the lace is the thickest and put your glue in those places there. So now we've got our 2 pages finished. What I'm going to do is, I think that I'm going to want to put more than, instead of making everything one signature, I think I'm going to make 2 signatures and have 3 of these in each one of them. But as I work with it together, I am going to take a safety pin, and I'm going to go ahead and pin them together there right at the center, so I can kind of keep them together and know how I want it to pile up and give me a sense of what the experience will be when we turn the pages. If you notice on this page here, I have more cloth than I did this lacy fabric. You know, and that's okay. I am not really worried about that happening. And when you have one piece of fabric that is wider than the other piece, and you want to keep this torn edge, because you can't cut off, you have to cut at least an inch to tear off to do it successfully. It's really hard to tear off just a little bit of fabric. When you do that, then you want to make sure that you sew on the shorted side, so you know that you've got your layer all sewn in. But anyways, there we are with these 2 pages. I just wanted to give you a series of tips and tricks and challenges and things to think about. You will probably have many other ways and that you will end up constructing what you make. But this is just giving you a jumping off start. So the next time I'm going to finish out probably all the pages, and we will go over some of the challenges that I made I saw along the way that I can talk about and show you and demonstrate them a little bit for you. Um, so yeah, thank you so much for viewing, and please subscribe so that you can see me as I complete this. I'm going to try to do as much detail as I can, just to show you how to put together a lace and fabric journal. So we'll be talking to you real soon. Bye.